Math 020, a lesson 3.2, add integers. In this lesson, we will review the following skills. The first one is to add. We will add integers. We will learn rules how to add integers. We will evaluate an algebraic expressions by adding, and we will solve some problems by adding integers. Before we can formally create the rules, before we can formally review the rules of adding integers, let's go ahead and look at the conceptual picture, what happens when you add positive and negative numbers. So we're going to start by visualizing positive and negative numbers as colored counters. The positive numbers are in blue, the negative numbers are in red. So using this model, we will model two addition problems with integers. The first one, we will add -5 and a +3. So if you look at the -5 plus 3, you have the 5 red circles representing your number -5. You have 3 blue circles representing positive 3. So the rule is that the red and blue circles will cancel each other out, and whichever circles are the more of them, that's going to be the answer. So adding -5 plus 3, you see that the overlapping part is the 2 red circles. So it is -2. The answer is -2. When you add +5 to a -3, you have 5 blue circles representing a +5. You have 3 red circles. The blue and red, each blue and red pairing will cancel each other, and we have the leftovers of 2 blue circles, meaning that 5 plus -3 will give you +2. Right, so just to review, -5 plus 3, they will cancel each other, and we have 2 negative circles left, so that means equals -2. And then when we add 5 and a -3, again, these 3 pairings will cancel each other, and we have 2 blue circles representing +2. All right. So when we add the numbers, now we're ready for some more formal rules. When you add 2 positive numbers, nothing will overlap. So both numbers positive, the sum will be positive. Okay, sum positive. When you add 2 negative numbers, again, nothing is going to overlap. So both numbers are negative, sum is negative. Okay, so that means that allows us to formalize the first rule, how to add integers. And the first rule says, when the signs are the same, we keep the sign and add the numbers. Okay. Notice that when we added 2 positive numbers, we get a positive result. We added 2 negative numbers, we got negative results. So 5 plus 3 is 8, and -5 plus -3 is -8. Okay. Now let's look at the two examples with different signs. Those are the examples that we just did. So when we added -5 plus 3, okay, we had different signs, and we had more negatives. So that means the sum is negative. How do we know we had more negatives? Because the bigger number had the negative sign. Okay, so adding 2, so when you have more negatives, the sum is negative. Okay. In the second example, we had different signs, but the positive number had the bigger value. It was 5, and the negative number was a 3. So the sum was positive. All right, so let's go ahead and write those answers down. So -2 and then +2. Okay, so now we're ready to formalize our next rule for addition, for adding numbers with different signs. When the signs are different, You keep the sign of the bigger number without the sign, and then subtract the numbers. Okay, find the difference between them. Okay. So now that we have those two rules, again, just to review, adding integers with the same sign, either positive or negative. You keep the sign, you add the values. Adding the integers with different signs, you keep the sign of the bigger value, and then you subtract the numbers. So let's go ahead and do a couple of examples just to solidify this, to practice this new skill. So you have 9 plus 5 in number one. 9 plus 5, both positive. So you have 14. Okay. The next example is negative 5 plus 16. So you have a negative number and you have a positive number. So the number with the bigger value is the positive one. Okay, so you have 16. Okay, 16 is bigger than 5, so that means the answer is going to be positive. So, and then you subtract. Now that you know that the answer is going to be positive, you find the difference between 16 and 5. So 16 minus 5 is 11, so the answer is positive 11. It is not necessary to write the plus sign. For the first time I did. Going forward, I will not be doing that. So to recap, negative 5 plus 16 would equal 11. Keep the sign of the bigger number. 16 was positive, and then find the difference between 16 and a 5, which is 11. Okay. Moving on to number 3, let's do the same. Again, you have positive 8, and you add into positive 8, you add in negative 8. So this time, the negative number has the bigger value. Clearly, 18 is greater than 8. So I am going to, my answer is going to be negative. When your answer is negative, you do have to put the sign down. It is not necessary. It is optional for the positive answer. And then you are going to subtract the values. 18 minus 8 is going to be 10. So the answer is negative 10. Moving along. You have negative 21 and positive 3. 21 is greater than 3. So the answer is going to be negative. And then 21 minus 3 gives you 18. So the answer is negative 18. So decide on the sign first, and then do the either addition or subtraction. Sorry about that. All right, next one. You have negative 6 plus negative 3. Both numbers have the same sign. So we keep the sign, we add the numbers. We keep the sign, which is a negative, and then 6 plus 3 equals 9. So we have negative 9. We keep practicing with the numbers until we actually get at it. So negative 54 plus 67. 67 is the bigger value. So that means it's going to be a positive number. I don't need to put the plus sign, but I do need to find the difference. 67 minus 54 will give you 13. So the answer is 13. Negative 54 plus 67 will give you positive 13. Now we're going to look at a little bit more complicated cases where we have more than one operation. So when you do those, you do them from left to right. You do the first two numbers, find the answer, and then do the next number. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to look at these two. So I'm going to only do 9 plus negative 6. 9 is a bigger value than the 6, so the answer is going to be positive. 9 minus 6 is a 3. So I have 3 plus, and I bring the next number down, plus negative 6. And I go through the steps again. I compare the values 3 and 6. 6 is the bigger value, so the answer is going to be negative, and then 6 minus 3 is going to be negative 3, so the answer is negative 3. Next question, problem number 8, you have negative 6 plus 12 plus negative 4. Let's do the first two first. Okay, so only looking at negative 6 plus 12, you have 6 and you have a 12. 12 is the bigger value, so it's going to be positive. Once you know that it's a positive answer, you can proceed with subtracting 12 minus 6. So negative 6 plus 12 will give you positive 6. So bring the plus sign down and bring negative 4 down. So now let's look at the negative 6 plus let's look at 6 plus negative 4. 6 is a bigger value, so the answer is going to be positive answer. And then 6 minus 4 gives you 2. So the answer to problem number 8 is 2. In number 9, we have negative 25 plus negative 32 plus negative 47. Start with the negative 25 plus negative 32. Both numbers are negative, so I'm going to keep the sign and add the values. So it's going to be 25 plus 32 is 57, so it's a negative 57. Okay, so I don't need to choose here because both numbers had the same sign, negative. So I have negative 57 plus negative 47. All right, just double check your integers. They're negative values, so I keep the sign and I'm add the numbers. 57 plus 47 will give you 104. So the answer to this problem number 9 is negative 104. Okay. If you notice that we have been writing negative numbers in parentheses, this is to visually separate what is happening, and then also point out that the negative sign belongs to the number. So you add in two negative numbers, or you add in negative and a positive number. Last problem for this section is negative 17 plus 8 is the first group, plus, open parentheses, negative 27 plus 17, close parentheses. So here we're going to do the order of operations. We're going to do the first parentheses. That's going to be the first. Then we're going to do the second. We're going to look at the second parentheses, and then we're going to add them together. So again, we're going to do first, the first groupings, first group, negative 17 plus 8. The second step is going to be negative 27 plus 17. And then we're going to look at these two results and add them together. So let's look at negative 17 plus 8. Go through your steps. They have different signs. That means you need to look at the values. 17 is greater than 8, so the answer is going to be negative. 17 minus 8 gives you 9. So from step 1, we got negative 9 plus negative 27 plus 17. So now I'm going to carry out my step number 2. In step number 2, I said I was going to do negative 27 plus 17. Again, they have different signs, negative and a positive, so I get to choose. I'm choosing negative sign for the answer because 27 is bigger than 17. So I will have a negative answer. 27 minus 17, the difference is 10. So I've done the result of step 2 is negative 10. Now I'm ready to bring everything down to do my last step, adding these two values. So I have negative 9 from step 1 plus negative 10 from step 2. All right. Both numbers are negative, so the answer is going to be negative. And I add the values. 9 plus 10 is 19, negative 19. That concludes our lesson 3.2.